right. I am here with Caleb Clayton from Patch It Up. Thank you, Caleb. I appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being able to dive deeper into some of these brands. I think that for a lot of our audience, this one will be different. They're not painting, right? It's okay. What exactly are you doing? So, talk a little bit about Patch It Up as far as what is the product or the service right from the start.
I will go ahead and say this is not generally a sexy brand by any means, but it's necessary, right? So basically, most of the service is drywall repair. So if you think
Yeah.
about, just any holes you have in your walls, or more importantly, any other businesses that have come into your house, anytime you've had an electrician in your house or a plumber in your house or anything along those lines, they are likely cutting a hole into your wall, right?
And not.
And they don't repair the holes, right?
Right,
So
right.
yeah, and it has to look good. It can't just be, some patch job. So it has to be professional. What we found is it's a very fragmented industry. The drywall repair industry is usually just some guy in a van or a truck that pulls up and smells like cigarettes. It's a very fragmented industry. So there's a huge demand for it, and most of the competition is not professional. They're not well put together. They don't do high quality work, and they don't have any technology infused into their business model, right? So it's a really huge gap in the marketplace that we're capitalizing.
Okay, so talk about that. I mean, I love that, and that's why we get the opportunity to do these deep dives. Is it's less of a commercial and more of a, okay, let's get educated on this. And I think one of the things I learned is like researching this for some of the candidates that I'm working with is what they like about it. Not super expensive to get into, but also not a high ticket sale. Like it's one of those where you need it, you need to have it done, but it doesn't need to necessarily cost thousands of dollars. People aren't getting bids. They're just happy that you came and you're going to fix this like the right way. But
It's a bit of that, a combination of both sides of the coin for that conversation. I'll dive a little bit deeper into it. So
yeah.
it is a low entry point, which is great, and it's one of the big differentiators about this brand that we love is that
Okay.
this brand Patch It Up was specifically designed with two people in mind. Person one would be somebody that has an existing business in the home
Okay.
service space. So somebody that has an electrical company or a plumbing company or a restoration business. They see these problems and they are cutting holes into people's walls. So anybody that has existing businesses like this, Patch
Mhm.
is a fantastic bolt-on to that, because
Okay.
you're referring most of your customer base as a Patch It Up franchisee. If you have another business like this, it's coming straight from your other business. You're keeping it in your own ecosystem,
Okay.
and they're able to scale really quickly, and their cost per acquisition for customers goes way down because
Okay.
they don't have to pay for the Google ads, and they don't, there's a different approach to lead generation for those individuals. All right. So that's person number one. Person number two, I would tell you, is somebody that is likely a corporate executive or somebody that has a full-time job or career that they're in and
Hmm.
are looking to create the off-ramp for themselves out of
Okay.
that corporate, that career, and transition into full-time business ownership.
Okay.
The difficult part about doing that is that most businesses that you start don't lend themselves to be operated part-time, essentially,
Right.
right? And that's the big thing, is that we've kept that person in mind. So whether you're operating another business or you have a full-time job, you can launch and run this business and scale it effectively because of how we've structured it. Mainly because of the low cost of entry, but then also because of the done for you support that we've launched, the marketing support that we've launched, call centers, a lot of technology integration has all been focused through the lens of, could one of these two people launch and run this business while they're keeping what they're currently doing?
Got it. And so brag on that a little bit. So this is the opportunity to just instead of, I understand that you kind of be humble and like we have all this support, but I think especially for the audience watching, semi-absentee is one of those things that has been thrown around for years. And I think some of it actually we have to take responsibility as consultants and brokers for pushing that because of the fact that so many people that we work with
Yes.
have that entrepreneurial drive. They want to own their own business, but they've also got the golden handcuffs on. So they need something. And some of the businesses that stepped up and said, well, it can be us, truly aren't. right?
Right.
They just don't have the infrastructure. They're too complex of a model for hiring, like all of the stuff that we're now learning. We can't want it into existence. It
Right.
has to just be a realistic thing. And I think with your brand, what we found is, okay, they've built it from the ground up to be for that person that isn't going to be running their business, running their marketing from sun up to sundown every day.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? So talk about
So break that down a little bit, and how we put that into practice, because it's one thing to your point to talk about it, but it's another thing to be able to do it, right? Starting out, a lot of the reasons that most businesses can't be ran semi-actively or whatever you want to call it are because of all of the minute details that have to take place to make the business work, like marketing, things like your bookkeeping, things like a lot of the sales aspect of it, doing estimates and especially in the home service space, right? So the first part of this is we've structured this business to launch with one truck and one technician. You don't need a brick and mortar. You don't need a home office. You don't necessarily even need storage space, depending on where you're at. You have one truck, one technician. The reason that other brands that launch with a similar structure still aren't able to achieve the semi-active is because the owner has to sit in the seat of going to the customers' homes, doing the
okay.
estimates, doing the sales, and then passing off the work to the technicians.
Okay.
The way we've combated that is our technicians do the full sales cycle. They go to the customer's home, they do the estimate, they also do the work. So this is
Yep.
a W-2 employee that is now you're able to compensate with a commission structure because they're doing the estimating and the sales and the work, right? So
Okay.
you can find higher quality work.
Yep.
But the owner is not going to do the estimates at the customer's homes, right?
Right.
The owner at that point now is acting as what we call as a best rep, which essentially does the dispatching and the customer
Okay.
success, which can be done from your computer or wherever you are, right?
Got it.
Now, I won't say that everybody that has a full-time job can run it this way, but if you do work from home or you're remote and you're not sitting in back-to-back hour-long meetings all day, every single day, and you have some
Right.
gaps in your schedule that you can kind of, maybe you're project-based or you work on you make your own schedules. You can take some time out of your day, 3 hours or so here and there to follow up with a customer or dispatch a guy to this job here. And if you can't do those things, then we just substitute in a virtual assistant that can do all those things for you, right?
Okay. Yep.
So a
Yep.
little more upfront cost for that person, but you can operate the business however you need to, right? And so there's specific challenges. That's one of them. Another
Right.
one is marketing, right?
Right. Hmm.
What we've done is we've created a startup launch package, right? The
Okay.
total package for this is $35,500, but 15,000 of this startup launch package is specifically prepaid lead generation that the franchisor does for the franchisees. So before they're opening for business, they already have jobs on the books. Another piece of this is bookkeeping, right? And so we actually do all the bookkeeping for the franchisees for the first year and
Okay.
likely on after that, right? It's just if
Got it.
don't fix what's not broken, right? So
Right.
a lot of the mundane issues with running a business like this, we've taken off the plate for the franchise owners, right? Which is super important. And we've given them the keys to build the kingdom. And what that means is the way you build this business big is by generating referral partners. If you're often just continually dependent on the marketing leads and the Angie's List and the aggregators like that, then it's going to be more difficult to build a big business. The big revenue comes in when you can generate referral partners in this
Okay.
business, when you can
So
partner.
when the plumber is saying, okay, when I leave, Patch It Up's going to come in, like it's just, and they're like, oh, that's right. Didn't think I needed that, but now I do. And
Well, they
yay.
know they know they need it. They don't have good
Okay.
solutions for it, which is the problem. And that's
Okay.
that's why we're the best solution because we've actually taken it a step further and we've offered them what we call a power partner program. And so we give the keys to our franchise owners to say, hey, go out. You do have to be able to be confident and comfortable in conversations with home service business owners, with
Sure.
of plumbing companies and electrical companies because to build this business and build your referral partners, you've got to sit down in a meeting like this or over lunch or breakfast and work out a deal and work with other business owners.
Okay.
We give them the keys and say, hey, this is what we call a power partner program. Essentially, it's a subscription based that they would pay you for. The other owner would pay you a subscription. But with that, they get the access to wholesale drywall repairs with the jobs they're currently doing
Okay.
their customers. And so you go in, a plumber goes in to fix do a plumbing job. and they know that there's going to be a drywall repair necessary, they actually include the drywall repair in their quote to the customer. And they
Okay.
sell it at the same time they do the plumbing repair. And then they wholesale it because they have access to this Power Partner program, which they wouldn't before know how to do that or have the tools to do it. And then
Okay.
Patch It Up comes in and does the job, and they've already pre-sold in the job. And so this is huge, and it makes so much sense to these business owners that when they see this, they're like, wow, like, why have I not had this before? So it's a huge solution to a big problem in the space.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And I think that answers my next question with some of these deep dives that we'll get into when it's like it's such a simple business that in my immediate or the people I talk with, immediate reaction is, why would I need a franchise for that? And I don't need a franchise. I can find somebody that can repair drywall and go out and do it. But I think you just answered that question is, why do I need a franchise for that? Like, yeah, any handyman can probably repair drywall, but do they have this kind of lead generation setup? Do they have this kind of marketing setup, partnership setup? That's something that the franchisor is bringing to the table that,
There's an old adage that you'll probably resonate with that it says, the man who makes the complicated things look super simple is the most skilled in that trade, right? So
right,
they watch somebody painting a wall and they make it look effortless and it's beautiful every single time. But if you've never painted a wall before and you go try to do it, you're going to find out real quick, like, holy cow, like this is pretty difficult, right? And this
right,
thing with business is what I tell people is, just because it seems simple, that doesn't mean that it is on the underbelly of it. It just means that there's a really solid system in place on the front end of it. While the service offering for Patch It Up is simple, you're repairing drywall, actually repairing the drywall and doing it with a full business model that you can create an enterprise level company with is a very different skill set. And there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that have to be true. You have to have lead generation. You have to know how to set up referral partners. You have to know how to hire and maintain and compensate skilled tradesmen. And so there's a lot of technology behind the scenes. There's a lot of dispatching. There's all these things that have solutions through system like what we've built. So on the surface level, yes, it's a simple business, it's a simple solution, but the how it all works, the engine underneath the hood becomes complex, right? And that's
okay.
why you pay for a
I love
system
that.
and a support system like Patch It Up.
Right. And so let's talk a little bit about that huge system that you've built, right? So, because technically in my world, you fall into what would be categorized as emerging brand,
Sure.
but you don't read like an emerging brand. You've got too much support, too much technology, lots of marketing. Again, for those that are watching, we're a little bit cautious with
Yeah.
smaller brands, right? We don't always want to drink the Kool-Aid too soon. So when we look behind the curtain, we look to the management team and how they've built this. So brag on that a little bit. Talk about the wizard behind the curtain of what would
Yeah.
be considered a small brand, except you're not.
Yeah. So I've got to dive into the history a little bit to explain that, because Patch It Up is a sister company actually to another brand called 1-800 Plumber Plus Air.
Right.
And so the CEO of 1-800 Plumber Plus Air, his name is Mark Collins, and his family quite literally has had a plumbing company for over 100, I think like 120 years. Their
Okay.
plumbing company's been in business. And they started franchising 1-800 Plumber Plus Air, and they have about 50 locations, 50 franchise owners in that company now. And Peter Coronas, he's the founder of Patch It Up, has worked with Mark Collins at 1-800 Plumber Plus Air for quite a while. And because they were running a plumbing franchise and an HVAC franchise in one, they realized how often they were dealing with issues with drywall repair. And Peter, as he was actually running as the director of franchise development for 1-800 Plumber Plus Air, and
Yeah.
they found this huge issue. So Peter actually went out to become a franchisee of another drywall repair franchise. And he went through and looked at all the other drywall repair franchises that were out there and said, I don't love any of these. There's issues with them. There's gaps in the marketplace. There's solutions that still aren't being solved here that we need solves for. And so him
Okay.
and Mark looked at each other and said, let's just do it ourselves.
Let's build it.
We know
Yeah.
how to do it. We've done it before. We know how to run a franchise. We know how to support. And so they actually just launched an umbrella company called Elevate Brands, which is housing Patched Up and 1-800 Plumber Plus Air. So
Okay.
Patched Up is essentially a mature model because it is a copy
Right.
and paste of 1-800 Plumber Plus Air. It's got the leadership team, the executive team. It's got the infrastructure, the technology, the marketing. It's got a chief
Right.
marketing officer. It's got the
Right.
entire infrastructure built from the ground up. So you've got an emerging brand that has the history of and the support and foundation of a larger established brand.
Right, which I love, which I love. And I think sometimes that's people aren't always going to get that from the brochure, right?
Sure.
It's something you've got to learn about it. This would be an easy brand to kind of push to the side because you're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be a franchise of that. And it's like, well, wait a second. Sometimes those are the ones that you need to pay attention to because you do want to be in your market. There is plenty of work to go around. They are going to support you. Most important, they're going to be able to support you as semi-absent because it was built to be semi-absent. It wasn't built, you need to be eyes, ears, feet in this business in order to run it well. When it's built for that, there's just a different culture of the whole brand.
And the other thing that I talk to people often about with an emerging brand is I've been a franchisee myself, and I was a franchisee in an emerging brand as well. You have to have a bit of an appetite and understand what it means to be a franchisee in an emerging brand versus an established brand, because they're two very different experiences as a franchisee.
Very different. Yep.
And so like that's important to explain to people. And I do all the time with Patched Up. And it's once I explain this, either a light bulb either clicks or it doesn't, you know?
Right,
And,
right.
and so the conversation goes like this. When you're in an emerging brand, you are a part of a small group, a team. Everybody plays a part in building that brand together. I played college football. So do you want to be an X and O on a board coming into a large NFL draft team where you could get cut at a moment's notice because you're fitting into the schedule? That's an established brand where you come in, you don't have much of a say in how things go. You really just kind of fit the bill and you do what you're told, right?
Right.
An
Yep.
emerging brand, you're a part of a startup organization. So you come in and say, hey, this was the launch. This is how it went. This was my experience. And you're working hand in hand with the founder
Right.
week over week. You have
Yeah.
the founder of the brand. You have their ear every single week that you're coming into this. Their soul, they cannot get the brand off the ground without your success. They are vested into you being successful no matter what it takes.
Right. I say that a lot. And like, except for your spouse and your parents, these people are probably the next in line to want you to be successful
Correct. Correct.
because they know 100%, not because of the royalty either. Like one little royalty is not going to make or break them,
Right.
but you being successful and you raving from the rooftops about how it felt to be supported is what is going to be successful to that founder. And so, and I think that that's an important conversation because if somebody doesn't want to be a part of that, it's okay.
Correct.
It's totally 100%. You can say, no, I don't want to be a part of something that is small because I do just want to be a cog in the wheel. I do kind of want to be faceless. That's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that, but when that drives you and you hear that and you think, okay, wait a second, that feels entrepreneur. That feels like I'm building this. I'm not just another, franchisee number 330. If that fires you up, then that's the exact reason to run toward it. And so it's not a right or wrong. It's what is best for you in that moment in time. Right.
Yeah, well, I even flip the script on them and I say, listen, there are a lot of people that don't like franchising because they don't have a ton of
Right.
control in what happens. As a franchise, you're driving on a highway. Think of it like this. And the franchisor's job is to build the car. The franchisee's job is to buy the car and get in it and drive down the highway.
Right.
And there's guardrails. The franchisor creates the guardrails and say, hey, you drive down this road and you will get to your destination. What scares people is saying that, what if I want to take this exit right here and I want to do it this way?
I
Or
want to go
what if I
try
want to,
something.
yeah, I want to try that. Or what about this? Have you thought about maybe this bypass that could get us there a
Right.
little quicker based on my experience? That's more of the conversation that you get with an emerging brand than what you get with an established brand, because you're
Yep.
working with the founders and they're open to things. And maybe, especially with Patch It Up, what I'll tell you is like Mark and Peter are very, very invested in making sure that people have enough territory around them to build large enterprise businesses.
Right. They're
So
not trying to build a little
yeah,
six-figure side hustle.
oh, no, they will tell you very clear when clients talk with Mark and Peter, they would much rather have, and they've demonstrated this with 1-800 Plumber Plus Air, they'd much rather have 50 franchisees with large businesses and large territories
Yeah.
than 200 franchisees that are single units with not enough territory to build, and they get boxed in. Conversation happens from the start is if you're not coming into this to build a big business, then this probably isn't the right business for you.
Right. And they don't necessarily want someone that can patch drywall.
Correct.
They,
No,
they're
absolutely. No,
like,
we don't look for people that are technicians. And matter of fact, it's more of a red flag if someone comes in and says that I want to be on the truck doing the drywall because they're not going to grow the business.
they're going to get hampered by their time. They're not
Correct.
going to be able to
And
scale
most of the technicians and tradesmen, they don't know how to grow up. They're not in the frame of mind for leadership and
it.
growing a brand. They're in the mind of individual contributor, which is great, and that's what they need to be doing and doing it to the
Right.
best of their ability. And so, yeah, we don't look for people that are tradesmen that are coming in to be on the trucks.
Perfect. And we can talk about like item 7, item 19, all of that kind of stuff. But I think for those of you watching Deep Dive, you're going to see where these conversations are going to have a lot more value than what you can find on the internet, right? In
And
2 seconds. So
Lisa, you can speak to the item 7, item 19, we'll talk through it in our presentations. You'll talk with, like that stuff is
yeah,
public, right? And so, but, and that stuff is good. It's attractive and it's important. Uh,
right,
but this is the stuff that people don't hear in franchising, and they don't really get a look at the inside of it. And
right.
this is the inside of it, to be honest with you.
Right. And this is one of those brands I think, again, like it could get pushed aside without this conversation. And that's what we're trying to get around. We're trying to say, no, don't overlook this just because, like you said, they've made the complex look simple. It's
I
these
always ask
businesses
people,
that grow.
I ask people, this is super important. If you're considering owning a business, before you even start looking, you need between you and if you're married, your spouse or your partner or business partner or whoever, you have to have identified your top 3 decision criteria. What are the top 3 things that no matter what are non-negotiable that have to be true for this to make sense for me, right? And most people will say, I want to be able to replace my income, or I want to be able to fund low costs. Like I want to start with an SBA Express loan, which is under $150,000 or
Yeah.
whatever, right? That's fine. That's great. Define the 3 things. And when you look at brands, you should be filtering the brands through the lens of your top 3 non-negotiables, through what you think, right? Do what you
Right.
know. And so what I tell them about Patch It Up is when you look at it on the surface, like I said at the beginning, it's not going to be super sexy, but most of the time it will have the capability to achieve all of people's top 3 non-negotiables. Starting
Okay.
on the side, creating a passive or semi-absentee business that you can scale out of your corporate job into. The capability to leverage technology. People love technology and want to leverage. We use Service Titan and virtual assistants and AI call centers and all these things. Patch It Up. That's how we are able to be a semi-absentee model like that. So that's what I tell people is like, it may not be sexy, but what are your top 3 things that are important to you? And if there's a brand or a business model that can achieve those top 3 things, at least have a conversation and see if it makes sense for you.
Absolutely. And don't just have one, have 2. Yeah.
Correct.
The only job early on in the conversation, I've been trying to just nail this home with our candidates too, is that it's just you need 2 conversations because your only job is to become educated and not make any decisions based on assumptions.
Yes.
So you've taken assumptions to this point to like find your top 2 that you actually want to have conversations with. So now we need to put the assumptions aside and make our decisions based on education. What do we actually know that's making us say, okay, this does make sense to have another call and move forward with education? Or I have learned something that has determined this isn't the one for me. And here's why. It can't be, well, I just have a feeling or I'm not sure. Like in this case, it would be, I want a business that I can be number 330, or I want a business that is going to cost so much money because I need the tax write-off. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah,
But we have to make educated decisions once we start talking to brands. We have to kind of get away from the assumptions because that's the whole point of talking to them, right?
absolutely.
It's where AI stops.
Yeah.
Everything else, AI can get you there, but then it should not be making this decision for you. Talk to me a little bit about your top owners right now. And I mean, I know there's a handful, but what are the qualities that they have?
So you read my mind. I was going to go into telling you about, we have 3 franchise owners at the moment and 2 corporate locations. So our first franchise owner, like I said, he's a multi-brand franchisee. So he has a restoration business, he has a plumbing business, he has an HVAC business, and Patch It Up is that bolt-on. So added Patch It Patch It Up. He launched May, I want to say, of last year. And by the time August came around last year, he was already having conversations around, I need another truck because my companies are referring too much business to Patch It Up. I can't keep up. I'm booked way too far out. So this is
Love
a person that is a multi-business owner, right? And Patch It Up is the bolt-on. One of our corporate locations, Peter, he has partnered with a guy named Lou, and Lou is kind of his business partner that operates the corporate location. So he's not technically a franchisee because he's
it. Okay.
operating in partnership a corporate location, but he is similar to a franchisee, I will say. And he also
Okay.
is a serial entrepreneur. So he's
Okay.
lots of different businesses. He's a great person that we connect people with to talk to, and he brings a wealth of knowledge operating many different businesses. And then our second franchisee, his name is Reggie. He's down in Texas. Our second and third franchisees are both down in Texas. So Reggie is National Guard. So he's got military experience. He's an IT corporate professional. So he still works in IT. He's very project based. So that person that's looking
Okay.
their job and he just gets a project assigned, gets it knocked out, and he can do whatever he needs to in the interim. And so he also operates Turo and car rental businesses and pet sitting businesses and things like that. So
Just an entrepreneur.
a guy
Okay.
that is a corporate executive in IT that knocks out his projects and has side hustles, and
Got it.
up is one of them, right? And then our third, his name is Forum, and he's in the Houston market. He came in and he's also a corporate professional. He's an AI executive. And so he comes in and leverages companies and shows them how to integrate AI and lots of
Okay.
large businesses and large accounts. Very sharp. He came in buying 3 territories because he wants like all of Houston. He's got this huge mindset of I want this huge business. And so all of these people, they really resonated with the fact that I want to be an early adopter of this. I have a skill
Okay.
set that I believe can help the franchise grow. We can leverage AI more. We can do these things and work through it together. And so that conversation we were having earlier about, do you want to be an early adopter of an emerging brand? All of the people so far have said yes, and they've been really great. They all come from different backgrounds, which is great.
Love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. We'll get this out to everybody. We'll host it every time I show Patch It Up. We're going to try to start including these deep dives, right? To say, okay, this is why, right? I can't always get that into a 5-minute presentation, but watch that deep dive because I think that you'll figure out why you're looking at this. So
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
it. Thank you for watching. If you're ready to take the next step, Integrity Franchise Group is here to help. Click the link below or reach out to us today to schedule an appointment. Let's work together to solve that franchise puzzle and turn your business dreams into reality. We cannot wait to connect with you.